The issue with Emmerdale's Joe Tate is that he believes he's invincible. When he spots an opportunity that could increase his wealth, Joe will stop at nothing to achieve it. If others get harmed along the way, so be it. Although Joe's main drive is usually money, his particularly dark side emerges when he faces danger. About a year ago, we learned that Joe required a kidney transplant, and he didn't really care about arranging the donation properly. At one point, he was so desperate to find a match, he sedated Noah Dingle and took him to a private clinic. When it became obvious Noah wasn't compatible, Joe abandoned him on the roadside in a daze. If this hadn't happened, Susie, Layla, and Amy wouldn't have died in the limo accident that followed. The reason for Joe's cruelty to resurface this time is Kim Tate's farm project. The matriarch plans to buy all the land around Home Farm and asked Joe to assist. His single-minded focus was interrupted a few weeks ago when Graham Foster returned from the dead. Graham made it clear he was back for Joe and wanted to reconnect, and Joe decided to give him another chance. While he's been catching up on what Joe has been doing for the past 6 years, Graham has found himself feeling a whirlwind of emotions every time he discovers a new milestone in Joe's life. When Joe spoke about his relationship with Dawn Taylor, Graham was shocked to hear him express so much warmth in his tone. When it then became clear Joe truly values the new family he has at Home Farm, Graham was surprised to see how much he's changed, but pleased for him nonetheless. The farm project Joe and Kim are working on has been something Graham hasn't enjoyed hearing about. While Graham supports Joe building the Tate empire, he thinks it could be done in a more ethical way. He's already voiced his disappointment at Joe taking advantage of Victoria Sugden and Moira Dingle, and once again made it clear how he feels about Joe and Kim's project in tonight's episode. When Joe noticed Graham looking at houses to rent, he was intrigued. He said he's been considering moving and wondered if Joe would like to join him. He mentioned Dawn and the kids could come, and they could start fresh. The problem Graham has now is that he believes Joe has spent too much time with Kim. He thought that if Joe spent time away from her, he'd remember who he truly is. Graham stood up and told Joe that the influence he's holding now is toxic, and if he doesn't stop, it will change him completely. He later told Joe that he's decided to remain in the village near his family. Graham is clearly determined to watch over Joe, but will he really step back and let him continue to harm people like Vic and Moira? Or will Graham intervene and stop Joe and Kim's plan before it's too late? 9 huge Emmerdale spoilers for next week, 23rd to 27th of February. In next week's Emmerdale, Graham and Kane form an unexpected alliance when the mechanic's illness is revealed. Elsewhere, Ray's burial pushes Bear to the edge and triggers severe conflict between Laurel and Arthur. Here are the 9 major moments to watch. You can also check out our collection of 28 spoiler photos from these episodes. Number 1. Joe wants revenge. Joe instructs Graham to get revenge on Kane for taking his car. This irritates Kim, who hopes for more tension between Joe and Graham. Sarah is eager to steal more cars with her granddad, but Kane is hesitant to support her plans and worries about the finances on the farm. When Sarah realizes Kane is planning one last car heist, he forbids her from joining in, but will she obey his instructions? Number 2. Graham learns a secret. While sneaking into Butler's, Graham discovers Kane's oncology letter, but is caught red-handed breaking into the farm. The 2 men clash, but Graham easily overpowers tired Kane. Feeling sympathetic to Kane's situation, Graham returns Joe's stolen car, but lies about where he found it. Number 3. Kim observes an alliance. Graham visits Kane and admits he knows about the cancer, encouraging him to put the feud with the Tates aside and focus on Moira and his health. As the 2 men share a handshake, marking mutual respect, Kim mistakenly assumes they're plotting together. The next day, she orders Joe to test Graham's loyalty by sabotaging the farm machinery. Number 4. Moira has hope. After an emergency at the farm, where the sheep are trapped in a barn, Kane feels the pressure mounting and has to rally everyone into action. Visiting Moira after the rescue, Kane is in good spirits until he sees Moira's black eye. But when Moira reminds him she's determined to fight, she's uplifted by his visit. Number 5. Ray is buried. The day of Ray's burial haunts several villagers. Despite her conflicted feelings, Laurel can't bear the thought of Ray being buried with no one present, and asks Charles to represent her. When Charles asks if she wants to come along, it plants a seed for her, and she attends with Charles and Claudette. Number 6. Bear spirals. Bear's family decide to keep Ray's funeral secret from him in case it triggers his trauma. However, Claudette accidentally reveals the secret, and Bear insists on going with them. Paddy panics when he discovers where Bear has gone, worried about the impact, and lashes out at Laurel. Bear falls apart again, and things worsen when Manpreet denies him painkillers. Bear turns to alcohol, and Laurel offers him her support. But when he attends hospital for an injury, his distress escalates further. Number 7. Arthur pushes Laurel. Arthur is furious Laurel went to Ray's burial and struggles to cope. Laurel tries to understand her son's perspective, but their escalating confrontation ends with Arthur shoving her, causing her to hit her head on the stairs. With Laurel hospitalized, will Arthur's involvement come to light? Number 8. Aaron comforts Bear. Aaron finds common ground with Bear and encourages the broken man to open up. Recalling his own experiences with Gordon, Aaron helps Bear understand the confusing feelings surrounding abuse and how he shouldn't blame himself. But Bear insists Aaron won't truly understand until he knows the full story. Number 9. Lewis and Vinny kiss. After Ross's attempt to matchmake Vinny and Lewis, the pair find romance on the farm. During a moment of high emotion after saving the flock, they finally share a kiss. But after their intimate moment, Lewis bolts. Is it over for them already? If you want, I can also make a catchy tabloid-style version that highlights just the most shocking moments to grab readers' attention. Do you want me to do that next? Former Emmerdale star Charlie Webb has spoken out about her time on the ITV soap, amid calls for her to reprise her role as Debbie Dingle. Webb played Debbie, the daughter of Kane and Charity, from 2002 to 2021, but recent events have caused fans to clamour for her return to the village. Speaking to Yorkshire Live, Webb discussed the show in detail for the first time in a while, describing her years on Emmerdale as so special, and adding that her colleagues were like family. That period of my life will always be so special to me, the actor said. She continued, it was such a long amount of time, and during such formative years, if you like. A lot of my best friends are still there. It was always such a fun place to work. It really is like a family. I know everyone always says that, but it is. I'm still so close to many of them. It was just like going to work with so many of your friends. Webb added that she remains close to many of the cast, including Emma Atkins, whose son is her godchild. Earlier this month, Webb reacted to an Instagram post from the soap's official account, which shared a video of an emotional moment between Kane and Debbie's daughter, Sarah. In the clip, Kane confided in his granddaughter that he had prostate cancer as they stood by the grave of his father, Zach. After Webb commented on the post, writing "My two babies," fans rushed to the comments, urging her to return as Kane and Sarah need her. Webb didn't reply to any of the comments, but since leaving the soap, she has kept busy and will soon appear on stage in the Ladies' Football Club. The play, which follows the rise of a women's football team during the First World War, will run from Saturday the 28th of February until Saturday the 28th of March at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield.